This is Late Night. We hope you're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. President Trump defended his economic record last night in an 18-minute televised primetime address. 18 minutes? That has to be the shortest speech ever. Even the outgoing message on his voicemail is longer than that. You've reached President Donald J. Trump, the greatest president in history, and you're hearing it more and more and more. That's right, President Trump defended his economic record last night in an 18-minute televised primetime address on the economy and cited numerous exaggerated statistics. For instance, he claimed the speech was 54 minutes. Almost an hour, not bad. During the same address, President Trump repeated his false claim that he's lowered drug prices by as much as 600%. Okay, one more time. You can't lower anything more than 100%. 100% is free. Even at the Burlington Coat Factory in Phoenix in July, the parkas are only 70% off. President Trump defended his economic record last night in a televised primetime address. Well, it certainly looks like the price of Red Bull has gone down. Look at how angry he is. Even Taylor Armstrong's like, take a breath. President Trump today received an intelligence briefing because if he's going to spend the holidays with them, he's got to learn their names. Oh, this old dossier. Well, it's our last show of the year, so let's take a quick look back at all the best moments of 2025. That's pretty much it. Pretty rad when it happened. Pretty rad. Kind of saved the year because it happened last week. The New York City Council is considering a new measure that would give the mayor a 16% pay raise, bringing the salary to more than $300,000 a year, which is great because then he'd only need 2 roommates. Taco Bell announced yesterday that it will begin offering the quesarito. Well, they didn't announce it. America is back. That's right, Taco Bell will begin offering the quesarito tomorrow, which is a burrito filled with ground beef, rice, chipotle sauce, and sour cream, and then wrapped in a cheese quesadilla. Ooh, heading there now, said EMTs. And finally, Christmas is 1 week from today, so if you haven't started shopping yet, hope your kid likes their La Bao Bao. And that was a monologue, everyone. Yeah. Got a great show for you tonight. She's an iconic, multi-talented artist. She's currently starring in Wicked for Good, which is in theaters. And IMAX now. She returns to host SNL for the 3rd time this Saturday with musical guest Cher. Ariana Grande is here, everybody. Pretty good. Pretty exciting. We can all agree. She's a fantastic actress and best-selling author. You can see in Marty Supreme in theaters nationwide Christmas Day. Fran Drescher will also be joining us. But before we get to all that, everyone, it is the holiday season, which means it's time to gather around the fire with friends, family, share the warmth of community and connection, to give gifts, extend compassion, bask in the holiday spirit, and of course, most importantly, to get yelled at by the president. In fact, if you're in need of a little holiday cheer, I direct you no further than the president's primetime address last night. Look at how happy he is. Looks like he's auditioning for a new live-action Grinch. He's gonna play the Grinch's grumpier brother. Donald Trump is the Grunch. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. We're nearly a year into Trump's 2nd term, and Americans are not happy. I mean, not everyone can be this happy. But still, with every poll, it seems America's frustration with Trump grows.
Every single day since March 12th, Trump has been in the red, negative. That is days in a row, 281. The bottom line is this: the American people don't like what Trump's doing, and they haven't liked what Trump's doing for a long period of time.
So on what issues?
What issues? All of them, all the key issues. He's underwater across the board. Immigration, a key issue for him, underwater by 6 points. Foreign policy, which has been one of his better issues, underwater by 14 points. Trade and tariffs, of course, this has been a key component of Trump's presidency, underwater by 15 points. The economy, the reason Trump got elected to a second term, underwater by 16 points. And the Epstein case, which I think we'll be talking a lot about going into the latter part of this week, underwater by 29 points. Negative, 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 negative.
Is he reading a poll or announcing the results of Trump's cognitive test? Look. I won't tell you the exact number, Mr. President, but let's just say it's
negative, 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 negative.
Also, the tone of news coverage has really changed. It used to be all buttoned up. Walter Cronkite would say something like, the president's approval rating has edged downward amid challenging economic developments. And now it's just a loud Mets fan screaming at an umpire from the upper deck, hey, Blue, I took a poll and everyone up here thinks you suck. Which calls did you miss? All of them. In fact, this is true. They even polled Trump's dance moves, and the numbers for that were brutal, too.
4.
Now, that was in no way called for or necessary, but it's our last show of the year, so we're gonna get on our... So Trump's numbers are really bad. Not as good as my numbers for that. In fact, they've hit their lowest point ever in recent polls, or as Fox News reported,
He is the most popular president at this point in his presidency in the 21st century.
wow, that is some world-class denial. Even the news anchors in North Korea are like, whoa, dial it back. How did you come to that conclusion? Are you including fictional presidents? I just heard from Fox News I'm more popular than Red Hulk and President Snow. But even Fox's own polling shows Trump struggling. In fact, the numbers for Trump were so bad, the anchors were complaining as they were reading them.
Border security, the president gets extremely high marks at 51%. I actually think that should be 90. I mean, who could be upset?
Right.
Seriously. 47% crime and public safety. How the president couldn't get 80% on that. And then foreign policy at 42%. Personally, I think he gets
That shocks
80%.
me.
But-
yeah, it should be 80% when it comes to that.
Dude, let me explain something to you. He's never gonna get to 80% on anything because he treats 50% of the country like 100% of the time. But good luck. Good luck with your new strategy of yelling at voters for not being nicer to the president. You sound like an angry parent defending a birthday clown who showed up to the party drunk. Stop booing Mr. Chuckles. But he pulled a sword on us. It was a balloon sword. No, it wasn't. Hey, don't curse. They're like, hey, you want to come to rehearsal and do the horn? I'm like, no, I got it. Don't ever go for the third squeeze, Myers. Well, I'm going to do it one more time at some point. Sound guy's up there. This is the same network that said not long ago that voters are being unfair to Trump by giving him bad marks on the economy he promised to fix on day one.
His approval rating now on the economy, according to, this is Reuters, is 34%. His disapproval is 58%.
It has only been 9 months. It's kind of unfair when someone has been there 9 months to put it all on them.
Yeah, I mean, give him some time. I think we all remember in 2020 when Biden won and Trump kept his mouth shut for 9 months, went to his cabin in the woods to reflect, came back with an Al Gore beard and a pet squirrel. Sat on his shoulder. He said, while I was initially melancholy about my defeat, I found solace in a new friend, and that friend is me. But that's the vibe on the right. They're angry and annoyed that voters aren't being more patient with Trump. And Trump himself gets upset whenever someone asks him about the difficult economy that's driving his numbers to new lows.
Mr. President, at the end of this year, those extended Obamacare subsidies expire. What's your message to those 24 million Americans who will see their insurance premiums go up?
Don't make it sound so bad.
Right now, people are buying their holiday presents. They're planning
Look,
for...
don't be dramatic.
Excuse, is this messy bitch telling us not to be dramatic? The one who once screamed this wildly untrue thing?
They're eating the dogs.
Also, you're snapping at people to stop being so dramatic about not being able to afford Christmas gifts. I think Trump only watched the first few minutes of A Christmas Carol and thought, this Scrooge guy seems to have life all figured out. That would explain why Trump hasn't changed his behavior, even though he's surrounded by ghosts. Whenever Stephen Miller walks around the White House, you can actually hear the ghost chains dragging behind him. You know, we set a nice low bar for ourselves. So that was the backdrop for last night's primetime address, in which the president once again tried to convince people that actually things are great, and if they're not, it's the Democrats' fault.
We had the worst trade deals ever made, and our country was laughed at from all over the world. But they're not laughing anymore. The colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. Illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. Now, in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. 1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Stop yelling at us, Grandpa. If you don't want us to come home and visit you at the retirement home on Christmas, we'll happily stay where we are. Also, I'm sorry, but if you need to tell people that America is the hottest country in the world, that means it's not. If you're walking through Midtown and someone hands you a flyer that says the hottest club in Times Square, don't go there. It'll just be you and 50 dads from Wisconsin trying to figure out how a beer can cost $23. Trump also repeated a lie that is absurd on its face and that we've debunked many times.
I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%.
You can't lower the price by more than 100%. 100% means it's free. 600% would mean you're paying people to take drugs, which, if it were real, would probably be the first popular thing you actually did. This dude is nuts. Yeah, but at least they're paying us to take Prozac, so, you know, c'est la vie. The speech was so unhinged and so full of obvious lies that CNN's fact checker had to race through them and still ran out of time.
The president said inflation is stopped. It's not stopped. It's 3%. In fact, September, that 3% rate was the 5th consecutive month inflation had increased. The president also said that he inherited the worst inflation. He said some might say in the history of the country. Again, he inherited 3% inflation in January. He spoke of cutting prescription drug prices by 400 to 600%. Those figures are mathematically impossible. He said the price of eggs has fallen, which is true, but then he said everything else is falling rapidly. Everything else is not falling rapidly. In fact, even on groceries in particular, far more products have increased in price this term than have decreased. He said again, he secured $18 trillion in investment this year. That number is total fiction. He spoke of some states hitting $1.99 for gas. The lowest state average today is closer to $2.40. About 100 stations out of about 150,000 stations are below $2. President Trump has not settled 8 wars. That list includes various wars, various situations that were not even wars, and some conflicts that have not actually been resolved. I could go on. I don't have time.
Get this man an energy bar and some Gatorade. Americans are struggling with rising costs and slowing economy, and instead of demonstrating empathy and coming up with a plan to fix it, Trump's just scolding everyone through the TV. When Americans say food is too expensive, Trump basically says, just be happy you're not
eating the dogs.
This has been A Closer Look.